Grains are bad for you. Grains are going to kill you. Grains have phytochemicals and lectins and phytates and all these bad things in there that are going to destroy your health. I mean, every time I open up social media or I go online, that's what I see and hear. And I don't disagree with that. I mean, I think that's very true in a lot of ways. And matter of fact, I had my health completely destroyed eating grains and a grain-heavy diet, whole grains, and what should have been a healthy diet. But I think blaming the grain itself misses the point. It misses the big picture. Because what nobody's talking about is all the other stuff that comes along with it. So you're talking about the anti-biologics, the synthetic fertilizers, the heavy metal contamination, and the mycotoxins and aflatoxins. Now, a lot of these contaminants, a lot of these toxins have the same effects on the human body. They have bioaccumulative effects. They build up over time. They're endocrine disruptors. They disrupt metabolic function. They cause gut dysbiosis, cancer, all these things. I mean, they're all these things are happening at one time. So you don't just have the phytochemicals from plants now. You have all this other stuff stacked on top. And I think it becomes too much for the body to bear. So you have all this stuff that basically builds up over time. And it's like, yeah, it's not going to hurt you today, but it may kill you tomorrow. You know, I think that's kind of what we're seeing. Like, we eat these foods and it's all the things that are promoted as healthy. So everybody eats these things, yet our health is completely destroyed. And everybody wants to blame the grain itself and say that the grain is bad and that's what's causing the problem. But again, I think it misses the point because you're not factoring in all the contaminants that comes along with the grain. And all these things combined, I mean, literally cause the things that we're dealing with. They all have those side effects. And I don't hear anybody talking about mycotoxins, which is one of the worst out of all these things. And it's in every grain product, to include seed oils, processed foods, whole grains. It doesn't matter what it is. It gets on there from the time it's in the field and harvested. It can contaminate it all the way up through the processing. And pretty much every single test they've done where they've went in, they tested food products on the shelves, have some amount of these mycotoxins in there. And again, a lot of this stuff is bioaccumulative. So you eat it, and over time, you may be fine, and your body may actually become more resilient to it. But after years or decades of consuming this, meal after meal, because you're told it's healthy, and then all of a sudden your health is just completely wrecked overnight, which is what happened to me, and you're left scratching your head like, what the heck did I do wrong, you know? Well, you didn't do anything wrong. You were eating the food you were told was healthy, but you weren't told about all this other crap that was in there that was going to destroy your health over time. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing. You know, I think that's one of the things that isn't talked about enough. Because yes, these phytochemicals cause gut disorders and things like that, but we also see people eating grains all over the world and they're completely healthy. What don't they have? And it's the toxic load of the food. They don't have all these other toxins that are crammed into the food and they're getting inundated with 24/7 when they're eating these foods. And I think that's the big problem. That's the big point that is getting missed. So it's not the food itself. It's not the grain itself. It's the industries that produce the grain that are also putting all this crap in there. They're also putting all these toxins in there, making our food absolutely toxic. So anything that has grains in there, or plants for that matter, that have these things in them, they're going to be toxic. Pretty much you can assume that if it comes from big industry, it's not going to be optimal for your health. So the best things we can do to improve our health is to get rid of big industry foods and focus on foods that have high bioavailable nutrients. And the obvious answer to that is meat. And if you choose to eat meat or you choose to eat vegetables, I would also get away from big industry food for any of that stuff. I mean, for anything you eat, I would get away from big industry and source your food from your local community. Get it from your farmers, your ranchers, butcher shops, grocery stores, local grocers, farmers markets, whatever you can find that is not industrial food. You're going to be better off because they're going to have your health in mind because they have to give you food that's healthy because they rely on you as being a customer. They don't have the large customer base like the mega corporations have, so they can't afford you eating a food from them and making you sick. It has to be the most nutrient-dense food that they can provide, and they're just good people for the most part anyway. So they're going to be producing food that's good for you. You know, they have your best interest in mind. They grow food that is food they themselves would consume. And I can guarantee you, these big industries that make the food for us, I don't think it's the same. I don't think the food they make for us is stuff they would wish to consume because they only care about profit and greed, not the health of the consumer. So that's the big point here, is that when we focus on the grain itself, when we focus on the food and we vilify the food, We're missing the big point. And again, the big point being that industrial food is toxic. It's not the food, it's everything that comes along with it. So that's my very brief synopsis on the whole grain thing. I'll probably go a lot more in depth on this at some point. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about that, what your take is. I'm going to be covering more topics like this: dog health, canine health, nutrient-dense foods, diet, nutrition, and the healing power of meat. So if that resonates with you, like, subscribe, join the Apex Tribe, and I'll see you on the next one.